Hello everyone, what's everybody doing? I'm in Pokemon form, and today we'll be doing is another reaction video. This one I'll be reacting to Always Believe the Ultimate Warrior story. So I hope you like it. If you do, please put thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get started.
Few wrestlers have ever been as open with fans as the Ultimate Warrior. As an in-ring performer, he was undoubtedly one of the biggest stars of his era, at points even threatening to eclipse Hulk Hogan himself. That said, though, he was also renowned for his reckless style, which saw many of his peers end up being unhappy to work with him. This led to much controversy throughout Warrior's career, as well as multiple return runs, first with WWF in the mid-90s, and then again later on in WCW. So, how did it all happen? Well, join us today as we take a deep dive into his entire career journey in Always Believe the Ultimate Warrior story. James Bryan Hellwig was born on June 16, 1959, in Crawfordsville, Indiana, where he and his four older siblings would live. However, when Jim was just 12 years old, his father would leave the family, something which no doubt had an impact on the youngster as he tried to figure out his place in the world. He would struggle with this at first, but after graduating high school and enrolling himself at Indiana State University, the future WWE champion would begin to find positive male role models in the world of bodybuilding, with this seeing him take up the sport. Now, he'd been interested in staying in good shape long before that, of course, lifting weights since he was 11 years old, but it was here that Jim began to take building his physique more seriously, as he entered a number of National Physical Committee bodybuilding competitions, even winning the 1984 contest outright to become Mr. Georgia. And this was enough to get the, up until then, shy kid to come out of his shell as he began making friends in the industry, one of whom would be Steve Borden, the future Sting. Come 1985, though, it had become apparent to Hellwig that there wasn't going to be enough money in bodybuilding for him to support he and his wife Sherry, so he instead moved on to new ventures, initially planning on becoming a chiropractor before Borden convinced him to follow him into the world of professional wrestling, with both men beginning their training soon after that. Of course, no one would ever accuse Jim of having a natural aptitude for the ring when it came to his technical skill, but at 6'2" and 280 pounds, he certainly had the jacked physique required to get over in the muscular world of 80s wrestling. Promoters obviously saw this too, as later on in that year, he would have already made his in-ring debut for the Continental Wrestling Association, forming a heel tag team with his training partner called the Freedom Fighters. A year after that, and they would jump over to the Universal Wrestling Federation in Oklahoma, where they would rebrand themselves the Blade Runners, a deliberate attempt to ape the look and feel of the Road Warriors, who were, at the time, the biggest tag team in the industry. And this certainly worked, with the duo becoming a smash hit in the territory. So popular were they, in fact, that other promoters would constantly try to acquire their services, this being what led Jim to head over to World Class Championship Wrestling in June of 1986 after having a falling out with his partner. From there on in, going it alone in singles wrestling under the new name of the Dingo Warrior. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest name, and for many other performers, it would have meant death. Luckily, the Indiana boy had enough natural charisma to overcome this, as he soon became one of the Dallas promotion's top heels, and then later, baby faces, as he had some memorable singles matches against the likes of Rick Rude and Bob Bradley, even beating the latter for the WCWA Texas Heavyweight Championship on February 2nd of 1987. But that wasn't all he was doing, because he would also become WCWA World Tag Team Champions with Lance Von Erich around this time too. All this seeming to solidify him as a top star for years to come. And it probably would have carried on this way for Jim had he not been poached away by Vince McMahon in 1987. The WWE chairman at this point still seeking to continue his worldwide expansion by hiring the biggest and best performers the wrestling industry had to offer, and seeing something truly special in the absolute magnetic charisma of the big man. For adventure. For Of course, if he wanted to get over on a worldwide stage, though, he was going to have to drop the Dingo Warrior name, and so Vince quickly got his team working on a new moniker, with the Ultimate Warrior eventually being settled upon after it was determined that he had to appear bigger and better than both the modern-day Warrior, Kerry Von Erich, and the Road Warriors. So, with his new gimmick finalized, it was time for the Ultimate Warrior to hit the ring. something he started doing in June of that year as he began barreling through undercard talent on the house show circuit, usually working a high-energy and short style of match that basically personified a shot of adrenaline to the heart. And no more clear was this than with his entrance, which saw a blast of fast-paced guitar precede Hellwig bursting through the curtain and racing to the ring like a madman, violently shaking the ropes once he reached the ring and pumping up the crowd to the point of bursting. He also added to the whole persona by wearing colorful face paint each night. This, along with his high-octane style, ballooned-out physique, and utterly wild promos that would have been enough to leave Scott Steiner confused, making him look like a superhero come to life, something which quickly got kids in the audience behind him as he became one of their favorites in record time. This all led to the big man getting a win in his pay-per-view debut at March 27, 1988's WrestleMania 4, beating fellow bodybuilder Hercules Hernandez in convincing fashion as he continued his meteoric rise to the top. And the next stage in this rise would come later that year at SummerSlam, when he squashed the Honky Tonk Man in just 27 seconds, ending the heel's record 454-day Intercontinental title run as he took home the secondary strap for himself, much to the delight of the fans in attendance. By this point, in fact, Jim was becoming so popular that he was even threatening to eclipse Hulk Hogan, something which the boss became acutely aware of as he was, at the time, already looking for his next big replacement for the Hulkster, given that he had been on top of the card for 5 years by that point and was running the risk of waning in specialness. Still, McMahon didn't want to rush anything, and so he spent the next 2 years carefully building up the Warrior to a main event position, protecting him at all costs as he feuded with Rick Rude over the Intercontinental title, while also having the notable achievement of being the sole survivor for his team at the 1988 Survivor Series. Of course, if he wanted to reach the next level, he would at some point have to show that he could overcome defeat, and this eventually happened at WrestleMania 5, when Rude was able to beat him in a screwy finish, taking his Intercontinental title away, but protecting his aura in the process. After that, Warrior was able to regain his belt, getting revenge on the Ravishing One at August 28, 1989's SummerSlam, and proving he was still a contender for the company's top dog. Following this, he had a house show program with Andre the Giant, which saw the legend put him over on a number of occasions, even if it was apparent by this point that Warrior was becoming more reckless in the ring, at points almost injuring Andre's manager Bobby Heenan for real, with Heenan going on to bury the Warrior for his lack of in-ring safety. Still, it wasn't enough to slow his progress, and by the 1990 Royal Rumble, it would become clear to fans what the future direction for him was when he and Hulk Hogan had a brief standoff during the titular match, whetting fans' appetites for the inevitable showdown to come. And of course, part of the reason this was so exciting was that it was completely new ground for WWE, as they'd never promoted a match between their two top babyfaces before, this effectively forcing the audience to choose which one they preferred. In the build-up to WrestleMania 6 then, where the date of the battle had been set, fans had increasingly become divided as to whether they wanted the Hulkster to remain on top, or if they wanted the Intercontinental Champion, the Warrior, to dethrone him and take home both belts. Come the night of the match on April 1st, 1990 then, the atmosphere was absolutely electric as the unstoppable force battled the immovable object. The crowd were on the edge of their seats the entire time, in fact, waiting to see who would come out the winner. And after 24 minutes and 51 seconds, it would be the Warrior who would get the win, pinning Hogan clean for the first time in his WWE career after hitting him with a big splash to see himself crowned the new face of the company. From there, the expectation was that Hellwig would take over Hulk's mantle and go on a years-long run as the champion. Unfortunately, though, things didn't pan out this way, as the former champ regularly remained at the top of the card in the main event programs, hobbling the Warrior's attempts to establish himself in that position in the process. Whether this was accidental or a very savvy move from the notorious politician Hogan is up for debate, but either way, it meant Warrior never managed to meet the expectations Vince McMahon had for him. And so, come January of 1991, after a few successful title defenses against the likes of Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, he would eventually drop the belt to Sergeant Slaughter at that year's Royal Rumble, ending his run as the company's top guy in a rather limp fashion. Still, even if he wasn't going to be the top guy some had hoped he would be, he was still a major star, and would remain in a high-profile spot in WWE as he entered into a feud with Macho Man Randy Savage, This all climaxing in probably his best match ever at WrestleMania 7, when he was able to not only beat Randy, but kayfabe retire him too. After that, he had a brief program with The Undertaker that would see Jake the Snake Roberts begin mentoring him, only for the slimy Roberts to end up turning on Warrior, joining forces with the Dead Man instead. This was supposed to lead to a big match between Jake and Hellwig, but that would never get a chance to happen because before that, the former WWE champion was scheduled to team with Hulk Hogan at that year's SummerSlam as he took on Sergeant Slaughter and his cronies. And it's since been confirmed that in the lead up to this match, Warrior, who was unhappy with the payouts he was getting, believing he should be on comparable money to the Hulkster, demanded that if he was going to continue working for the company in the future, then he wanted a significant raise. McMahon agreed to this at the time, however, felt that he didn't have to honor this as it had, in his mind, been made under duress.
Sorry, guys.
That's why, after Warrior came back through the curtain at the end of his tag match with Hogan that night, the boss fired him on the spot, citing his perceived unprofessional behavior and
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the noise in the background, that was my parrot. If you guys like this video, pick this up, hit the subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a comment. Subscribe to your channel so my see thing. And yeah, guys, again, almost close to 510 subscribers. 510 subscribers, that's a lot. 5 years ago, I really appreciate it. Because again, this is very much close to my goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. And for those people watching, like so many years ago, I really appreciate it. Because again, these videos are possible to you guys. And love you guys so much for all your support. Like I always say, and I always mean. And yeah. Also, if you guys want to watch this, if it was made by Wrestle with Andy, I'll put the link to his video down in the description for you guys to watch. But yeah. Alright guys, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, leave a comment, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys for tomorrow for another video. Alright guys, there you go. Goodbye, and have a good day or night.